Hi, I'm Patrick Hedger, Executive Director at the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, and I'm so pleased to be joined by Clara Osterhage, who is a small business owner in the great state of West Virginia, who has some concerns about a recent nominee by the Biden administration to the Department of Labor. Thank you so much, Clara, for joining us today. We're grateful for your time and willingness to share your small business/franchise story and what it would mean not only for your business, but for thousands of businesses in West Virginia and across the United States if David Weil were to head the Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division. Mm-hmm. Can you share a little bit with us about your business and why you decided to open your franchise?
A little bit about my business. I'm a Great Clips franchisee, so I own hair salons, much like the one that you can see behind me. It's a very simple business model. The reason I chose franchising, having like a lot of business owners, having been in corporate America for a lot of years, I was in hospital administration. I got to a place where I really felt like I wanted to do something. I chose franchising very simply because of the fact that I didn't have to reinvent any of the wheels. It's really nice when you can onboard with a brand that has a reputation, is a known brand, and then you're able to use that to your strength as you build your business.
So as I mentioned, the Biden administration has renominated a man named David Weil to head the Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division. Now, some of us know what he's proposed to do, and that is put heavy limitations on independent contractors, franchises across the country. Can you talk a little bit about what this would mean for your business if he were to be appointed?
This gentleman has a track record of not being favorable towards small businesses in general. He has a particular issue with the franchise business model. Most people don't even know who he is, but most small business owners know exactly who he is because he's posed this threat before in a previous administration. He wrote a book that is called Fissured Workplace. And in that book, he talks about a lot of different business models, but specifically focuses on the franchise concept as being a bad thing. He advocates for big corporations. And to be quite frank with you, that is probably one of the biggest threats that a small business has, is that the scales tilt towards larger businesses and leave the small businesses behind. My employees are my family. I've always treated them as though they are one of my own, and big businesses don't do that. That's the beautiful thing about small businesses. We literally are Main Street. We're involved in our communities. We advocate for our employees. We take care of them. And so anyone who's in a position that could threaten not only the business model, but the future of small businesses is not someone who should be given a position such as this.
For years, as you've said, David Weil has displayed an animus toward the franchising business model, a business model which employs 8 million workers roughly nationwide. What would it mean for you if David Weil imposed new regulations on franchising that makes it harder for you to operate?
It would scare me to death. Most of the time it's hard to predict the future. And he's worked in this role in the Department of Labor before. And so we're able to kind of see the pathway and where he would take us. What he wants to do is take away my independence to run my business the way that I want to run it, and I need to run it to be successful. He hasn't worked in the private sector, so he doesn't have any experience or understanding of what it feels like to be on this side of things. And it's really easy to make rules and make things difficult for people when you don't understand exactly what it is that you're doing to them. He wants to attack small businesses, wants to replace us with big businesses, and he believes that big businesses will treat employees better. That is so wrong, and it is so incredibly sad.
As you mentioned, and David Weil has never had a job in the private sector, but despite that, he believes that franchising small businesses rely too much on quote unquote outsourcing, which results in the Fissured Workplace, the title of his book, Do you feel that your business is fissured, or do you think his academic viewpoint is out of touch with the facts on the ground?
One of the quotes in his book is that I have to refer to some notes here. Franchisees are in reality employees of their brand. So this takes us to the whole joint employer concept. I'm here to tell you, if you just apply common sense, I do not work for my franchisor. My employees do not work for my franchisor. I love the relationship I have with them, but they don't tell me what to do. They tell me how to deliver the brand, which is far different than telling me who to hire, who to fire, how to evaluate them, and all of the things that is a normal part of being an employer. And so what we need in this position is someone who is an umpire. So calls balls, calls strikes, just an umpire, and who's focused on catching bad actors, because we all know that that is a thing. But instead, he wants to flush away the opportunity that we have in franchising across the state of West Virginia. And I hope that his nomination is rejected and that the Senate finds a more suitable replacement for that position.
Can you talk a little bit about your company's presence in West Virginia? We've read reports that Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia has concerns with David Weil, like we do. What message would you like to send to Senator Manchin as the Senate considers this misguided nomination?
I have 6 establishments in West Virginia. Currently, they're located in Triadelphia, Moundsville, Parkersburg, Vienna, Wheeling, and Weirton. So it's a nice connection down the I-77 corridor, if you will. It's interesting to think about this. I had to look up to find out because I didn't know. There are 5,000 franchises across West Virginia, which is pretty astounding if you think about it. They're all locally owned, just like mine. And whether people want to admit it or not, these businesses are a very large part of our economy. So my message to Senator Manchin, who as a business owner is my hero for many reasons, my message to him is thank you for all of the ways that you're standing up for West Virginians, the employers right now. We all know he's under a lot of pressure, but he's showing incredible courage. And I'm hoping that he continues in making sure that this gentleman is not appointed to the position that we're talking about today. Businesses all over this country are under such incredible duress because of COVID and all of the other pressures that have been brought about by this administration. This is just another one of those things that none of us from the franchise perspective are in a position to have to deal with. It's pure silliness. It is. And so that's my message to Senator Manchin.
Clara, I just want to thank you so much for your time and sharing your frankly inspirational story about creating jobs in West Virginia through a successful franchise business model. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us at the Taxpayers Protection Alliance. And with that, we'll give you the final word.
I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the conversation. I think that so often, unfortunately, government creates rules and regulations, and they're just not in touch with their customer, which is me. And I have many brothers and sisters that I know feel exactly the same way. We create jobs for people. And I think most of us do a darn good job of creating those jobs and giving people great incomes, great lives from great work. To take away from that by putting regulations in place that are not helpful is just not the American way.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to leave it on. Thank you, Clara.